Adding and subtracting fractions. Our learning objective for today is I will be able to add and subtract fractions with different denominators. Some key points that we need to know before we start is that the numerator is the top number of the fraction, the denominator is the bottom number of the fraction, and to add two fractions together the denominators have to be the same. So let's look at our first example. We have 3/5 add 7/20. So our key point here said that to add two fractions together the denominators have to be the same. We can see here that they are not the same. So we have to think, could we make the smaller one into the larger one? Yes, we could. If we times 5 by 4, we would get 20. So let's times the 5 by the 4. Now remember, whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do the same to the numerator. So this fraction, 3/5, will become 3 4s are 12, 5 4s are 20. So 3/5 is the same as 12 over 20. Add 7 over 20. So now the denominators are the same, we can add the fractions together. So 12 add 7 is 19 over 20. Now remember, you've got 12/20 and another 7, which means you've got 19/20. Do not ever add the denominators together. You're just getting more and more 20ths. So let's write down our steps here. So the first thing you do is you say to yourselves, are the denominators the same? Okay. If they're not, can you make the smaller one, so the smaller denominator, into the larger one by multiplying? Okay, and then whatever you multiply the top by, so whatever you multiply denominator by, multiply the numerator by. And now the denominators are the same, you can add the fractions. Okay, so I've got one for you to do over here. Press pause and have a go. Okay, so let's go through our steps. Are the denominators the same? No. Can you make the smaller one into the larger one by multiplying? Yes, we could do 4 times 3. Whatever you multiply the denominator by, multiply the numerator by. So we get 1/12, which is already there. 3 3s are 9, 4 3s are 12. Now the denominators are the same, we can add our fraction together. Now remember, you always simplify a fraction if possible. So we see that 2 goes into both of these, so this can simplify to 5/6. I've got 5 questions for you to do now, so press pause, have a go, and then we'll go through them. Okay, our next example. So we start off the same. We're going to say, are the denominators the same? If not, can you make the smaller one into the larger one like before? Okay, so could we make 5 into 6 by multiplying? No, so this is where it changes. So this time we have to find a number that both denominators go into. Now, the easiest way to normally do this is to just times them together. So 5 and 6 would both go into 30, because 5 6 is a 30. Sometimes there'll be a smaller number that they both go into, but it will always work if you times the two denominators together. So easiest way is to multiply the denominators together. Okay, so that means we're going to have two denominators of 30. And then we go back and we say, what did I times 5 by to get 30? Well, I times it by 6, so I do the same to the top. What did I times 6 by to get 30? 5, so I do the same to the top. Okay, so whatever you multiply the denominator by, multiply the numerator by. Okay, so 6 3s are 18, 5 5s are 25. So now the denominator is the same, I can add them together. 18 and 25 is 43 over 30. And change that to a mixed number. So 30 goes into 43 once, with 13 30ths left over. So once you've done that, you just... Okay, so here's one for you to have a go at. Okay. Are the denominators the same? No. Can you make 4 into 5 by multiplying? No. Let's find a number then that 4 and 5 both go into. I'm going to times them together and I get 20. So what did I times 4 by to get 20? I times it by 5, so I do the same to the top, gives me 15. What did I times 5 by to get 20? Times it by 4, so I do the same to the top, that gives me 8. 15 add 8 is 23, so I've got 23 over 20. Change it to a mixed number. 20 goes into 23 once, with 3 20ths left over. Okay, so I've got 7 questions for you to do now, so press pause, have a go, and then we will go through them. Okay, so moving on to subtracting fractions. Now this follows very, very similar rule to adding fractions, except for the very last step, instead of adding them, you're going to subtract them. First example is 3/5 minus 7/20. So are the denominators the same? No. Can you make the smaller one into the bigger one by multiplying? Yes. I could times this by 4 and then they would both be over 20. Whatever you do to the denominator, do to the numerator. So my new sum becomes 12/20 minus 7/20, which is 5/20, which would simplify to 1/4. So example 2, are the denominators the same? No. Can you make the smaller one into the larger one by multiplying? No. So we're going to have to find a number that both denominators go into. Times them together, easiest way, I'm going to get 30 as the common denominator. What did I times 6 by to get 30? Do the same to the top. What did I times 5 by to get 30? Do the same to the top. Now instead of adding them, I subtract them. 25 minus 18 is 7. 7 over 30. Okay, so let's just make a checklist here. So the first thing you'd say is, are the denominators the same? Okay, so there's a nice little flow chart there. See if that can help you. Okay, so I've got 2 questions for you to do. Press pause and have a go. Okay, let's go through this. Are the denominators the same? No. Can you make the smaller denominator into the larger one by multiplying? Yes, I could times it by 5 to make 20. Whatever you times the denominator by times the numerator by, so I get 15 over 20 minus 2 over 20, which gives me 13 over 20. Okay, next question here. Start again. Are the denominators the same? No. Can you make the smaller denominator into the larger one by multiplying? No. So we need to find a number that 4 and 5 both go into, which they both go into 20. What did you times 4 by to get 20? Do the same to the top, which gives me 15. What did I times 5 by to get 20? Do the same to the top, which gives me 8. 15 minus 8 is 7 over 20. Okay, so here's some questions for you to try. Press pause, have a go, and then we'll go through them. So I hope you got those correct. Now what you need to do is complete your exit pass and send it to your teacher.